Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits Metal and Motor Cast. This is your host, Dave. And I got on the line a special guest, Mike Geroni. How you doing, Mike?
Doing quite well, Dave. How about you?
Good. So how's the weather out there on the East Coast?
It was beautiful one day, and then it snowed the next. It pretty much snowed first thing this morning, and it's kind of left my head scratching like crazy. So pretty much waiting for the stuff to melt. We're just going to get a couple more days of rain, and then it's going to start warming up again. So hopefully it starts to heat up again. I can go roll the car outside, fire it up, and do a bunch of other fun things, you know?
Yeah, it's only 37 over here in Illinois. So
yeah, I think we were dealing like 48, 50 degrees, just nipped 50 today, I think is what we did today out here just in the Philly area, so yeah.
Yeah, bring on that spring weather so you can go drag racing.
Yeah.
So now first question, Mike, is when did you get involved in the whole drag racing thing?
I pretty much, as much as I jokingly say I was born into it, it kind of is a little bit of the truth. So what had happened was that my dad had been involved in some drag racing through some friends and stuff in the area. And he had a little 68 Corvette that he drove around on the street that eventually turned into his regular street rod car. And then he ended up taking it to the strip and started playing around with it at the track. And then it eventually turned into a full-blown drag car. And he ran that for a number of years up until the point my brother and I raced junior dragsters together. Then we ran a little bit of a faster combination in the Corvette that just turned out to be a little bit too much for it, that my dad just said the car was just starting to get unsafe and that we needed to be a little bit smarter with the setup that we had in the car. So he built the car that we have today that I get to drive now. So it's been a crazy experience so far, but I've been loving it. It's something I'm glad I grew up with, and it's been a part of my life for pretty much 90% of it, so it's been pretty crazy.
Now the one you're talking about is fuel altered, alcohol injected. What year was that built?
So I think we switched over from the Vet to the funny car around 2003. What it is, we started out as running some. I think my dad ran it with 2 Holley Dominator carburetors with the existing blower that we have today, which is an 871 street rod blower, which not many people would think would work in alcohol racing, but we make it work. We're putting it through its paces or well beyond it. But it's a neat little thing. I never expected we would have something that's kind of like a hybrid of a funny car and a fuel altered a little bit. So it's went through bracket racing with it with my dad, and then try to figure out where we're going to go with it next.
Yeah, you run both classes with the car, right?
I try to. Depending on who allows me to run with it, you know. Because I know how the funny car guys, depending on the group, they will let me run based on the ETA mile an hour and let me run against somebody who's similar to it. Some groups will just straight up ignore me altogether, just because simply I need front fenders. And I kind of had a little joke about that on April Fool's about it, just to say, yeah, I'm going to put fenders on it, or just better yet, switch to a whole funny car body. But the fans love the Fiat body as it is, so I'm probably going to keep it that way. Really enjoying who I run with and stuff, with other funny cars, other altereds, on occasion a slingshot or a door slammer. So I'll run against anybody and everybody.
So who's been your greatest competitor since you've been running this car?
Competitor-wise, toughest competitor, I would say Bruce Pearson with the New York Earthshaker alter. He's one of the guys I started match racing with about last season. He's got like a blown Hemi setup on it, pedal clutch setup, like a top alcohol car, and I'm able to keep up with him. I mean, I've yet to beat him. Probably will stay that way. But I have fun. I mean, he's a good guy. I love to race against. We always find a way to put a good show together with doing over 330-foot plus burnouts and stuff, and we find a way to make the racing a lot closer than it turns out to be. So I have fun running it with him. He's a straight-up good guy to race with.
So what's the fastest pass you've made with this car?
Fastest pass I made with the car, we did it last year at Maple Grove. Went 692 with a 1 and just nipped 194 mile an hour. The car's kind of been stuck in that mile an hour range, but we are hoping that this season we finally break into the 680 zone, and hopefully we get a little bit closer to that 200 mile an hour mark. That's been the big goal with the car, is to surpass 200.
So now when Englishtown was around, did you used to run up there?
I went there and watched, and this is crazy. When I was 12, I saw, for one of the last times they did this, it was Garlitz and Muldowney race each other in a match race up there, and that was fun. But I never got a chance to race at Englishtown on the full-size track. But I did run my junior dragster on their 8th mile track right next door, and to be honest, it was a less than favorable experience. It left a lot to be desired to me, though. But I wish I had the opportunity to race the car I have now and get involved with the thrill shows that they used to have there and stuff. But we'll see what the future holds. Hopefully this closure isn't a permanent thing. Hopefully it comes back. Who knows? We got plenty more options to go with.
Yeah. So how many years did you run in the junior dragster?
I did the full 8 to 9 years. I did the full 8 to 9 years until my license basically ran out. I started a month before I turned 9, so I kind of figured I'd wait a little later. The first year was just kind of getting familiar with it, and then by the following season, my brother and I started becoming very competitive, running the track, point series and stuff, and it wasn't until about 2003 that we were starting to get into the top 10 points finishes and winning races left and right, and just really becoming a tag team of just brothers racing each other compared to the other teams that were out at the time that were siblings and stuff. They could never work together and stuff. We just found a way to make something work, yet we never really could get along. But we had our own little sibling rivalry. Even to go backtrack to your other question, who's your best competitor, or my best competitor, my brother definitely is one of the best racers I ran against in the junior dragster days that I would love to get a chance to race against again, but future doesn't really quite hold that anytime soon. But we still have that competitive edge personally to this day still, so it's all brotherly love, I guess.
Yeah. So for the Fiat, what kind of license do you have to have to drive that thing?
For the funny car? For my car, I have an advanced CT license for it. It was, I kind of was trying to do as much research as I could before getting into that kind of a license, because the year I got into it, or the year I decided I wanted to get involved in it, I gave myself the ultimatum to at least go to a racing school and learn to drive a regular dragster, because between the time I got out of juniors to racing the car now was about a 6-year gap. So I had been out of the driver's seat for that long, and I had helped my dad run the car while he was still driving until health conditions kind of took over, and he was thinking about selling the car, and I spoke up and said, what do you think if I drive it? And he said, the only way you're going to try that is you go to racing school. So went to Doug Foley's, learned to drive a Super Comp dragster, had fun with it, and researched it a little bit, even talked to my teacher at Doug Foley's, between Doug himself and John D. Bartolomeo, who's an instructor there. I talked to both of them about where I was going to go, where I was headed with this whole career, and they said, yeah, the best thing to go for is an advanced CT license and hope for the best on it, because there's probably no real chance of me running like top Dragster or top Sportsman with it, or even a top alcohol class or a nitro class with it. So it seemed to be the safest thing to do. And plus, talking with some friends of mine that work for NHRA that I talk to on occasion, they kind of helped give me some guidance on it, and it just turned out to work that way in that favor. And I ran the car at Maple Grove at the very end of the season. And mind you, the car has a lot of power as it is, so for me to get familiar with it, we decided to put the car at like half throttle, and it was still running sub 750 passes at well over 175, so it was running fast enough and quick enough for me to get my license in 3 passes in one day. So it was perfect. You couldn't have planned it any better than that, honestly.
So who licensed you?
What was that again? I couldn't hear you on that one.
I was saying, who did license you?
Who did license me? A friend of mine, Al Moser, he is a local Division I racer. He actually lives right down the street from me. Ran Super Cup, ran top alcohol Dragster. He signed my license. And a buddy of his that runs in top Dragster also signed for my license. And between the two of them and my dad and our crew guy, Mike Geroni, who's like our co-crew chief, he also had experience in running top alcohol Dragsters and experience in other blown alcohol cars. Between the 4 of them, they really gave me some good guidance that day on what to look for, what to feel for, what to hear for when driving these kind of cars, because I had never experienced this kind of thing before. So it was all a learning experience right out of the gate. But it took some time. I mean, I kind of caught on to it really about, I want to say, the following season. By the time we were actually starting to get more seat time, I started getting a better grasp of things and talking to everybody again and kind of get their input. And by that point, I was already starting to get ready to match race and stuff. So networking with the other drivers that I run with today, like the funny car guys like Rocky Perone and the guys Time Bomb Racing, Ken and Mike Hall, Chris and Krista Massarella, all those guys, they all have given me some semblance of advice or input to help me be a better driver than where I was when I started. So I'm constantly growing every time I go to the track, and every time I learn something from them, it's more info for me to put in that backlog and for me to grow with and go further with as my career goes on.
So now, do you do any racing with the Great Lakes Nostalgia Funny Car Circuit?
That's one of the groups that won't let me run. To be honest with you, and I say this with the utmost respect to those guys. I mean, they put on a hell of a good show, but I think they need to let a little Fiat come crash the party a little bit and have some fun, because I can keep up with those guys pretty well. But they're a good group of guys. As much as I kind of get involved as like a secondary exhibition act with those guys, whether I run against, like I said before, Bruce Pearson in the New York Earthshaker Altered, or Terry Smith's Yellow Bandit Altered, or John Hynek with the Hellbound Altered, or some other blown slingshot, or door slammer or something or other. They always find a way to squeeze me in and take me into consideration and have me be part of the show a little bit, or just like act as a little, I guess, like kind of like how our rock bands, you're kind of like the opening act, or you're kind of just setting the stage for the big guys, I guess. So that's the only way I can look at it.
So are you going to be running with them this year?
Say again?
Are you going to be running with that group this year?
Trying to. Right now, I'm currently involved in, I want to say, about 5 to 6 races this year, and their group. It's kind of a separate independent group, same members, but different. I mean, same members of cars, same teams, just kind of running independently, along with some help and support of the Great Lakes Funny Car Circuit. It's kind of like running its own little deal, I guess. I don't really know all the particulars, to be honest with you, but it's still the same guys.
Yeah. Yeah, Dennis is a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I know I talked to him when we did the Funny Car Show in ATCO last year. We're going to be part of that this year, and he was definitely there kind of cheering us on at the show at Island Dragway last year. So that was the first time I actually got to talk to him about having me be part of the group. And he's like, you need front fenders. I'm like, sorry, I can't do that.
So now for the Fiat, how many crew members do you have, and who are your crew members?
So it's pretty much family. My dad is the owner and crew chief. Our co-crew chief, Mike Judkins, he's a longtime family friend of ours. He helps call some of the tuning shots. He tags along whenever he can. My mom comes out to watch and help out as well. She pretty much takes care of my media stuff, taking care of video coverage and stuff for the runs and stuff that I post up on YouTube. And outside of that, I mean, basically that's the core of us, the core team members. But this year, I'm hoping this will work out because we tried it out last year. We had the addition of a backup girl this year, Marissa. She backed me up last year. She and I got along really well over that. So I said definitely we need to team up and do something with this because I'm the youngest person of the group, so it makes sense to have somebody who's the same age or a little younger than me that has an interest in doing the backup girl routine. So figures, you know what better way to kind of keep the tradition going with some fresh young blood going. So
right. So currently any sponsors for the car at all?
We have 3 sponsors right now. Actually, they're kind of more of supporting sponsors, to be exact. Once again, Mike Judkins, our crew guy, he has a fuel injection, ignition, and carburetor company called Avani Performance Products. They're based out of Percy, Pennsylvania. They're like about 15 minutes from me down the street. He's been helping us out with a lot of things. He hooks us up with the right combination of things of sorts. We also have support from Second Street Speed Shop in Percy as well. They help dyno tune our car. They really helped us get our onboard computers together working really well. And Bill's been a great supporter of our team as well. And I got to thank our biggest supporter and sponsor, in my opinion, the Gasket Goons Pennsylvania Hot Rod and Car Club. It's a car club that's based with like 13 members, and it's all rat rods and street rods and stuff. They really welcomed me with open arms when I brought the car out to one of their car shows, and they love what I've been doing, and they love the fact that I support their group because they put on one of the biggest car shows out here in the Northeast in September called the Gasket Goons Hot Rod Bash, and that happens in September. They do an excellent job. It's all 1969 cars and older. They pretty much turn away any like standard pony cars that you expect that came out of 69 and 70 and onward. Pretty much the rustier the better, you know. But they're big supporters and stuff. We also get some support from the guys that painted the car, Paintworks in Stowe, Pennsylvania, and the guy that lettered it, the legendary Jim the Painter, who did some of the airbrush work and pinstriping work on the car. Super good friend of mine. He actually airbrushed one of my old Junior Dragster helmets, and he painted one of my guitars that I play with on stage. So he's another stand-up good guy, hell of an artist, and it's great to have some support like that between the 2 speed shops, a hot rod club, and a couple of paint shops.
So now, Mike, what was it like for you to get behind the wheel for the first time in a Fiat?
Oh boy. Well, I can tell you the first time I almost bailed because it scared me out of my pants practically. But what I did though before actually going out to the track with it, I had done some like burnouts in a parking lot with the car just to get familiar with it and just drove it around at idle, just got familiar with the gears and how it handled and how it behaved. But the day we went out with me driving the car, I'm suited up, strapped in the car. I'm starting to get nervous as anything, and right as I'm about to key in on the driver to crew radios, because I have a radio on my helmet, and the crew guys wear headsets, and I can talk to them. When I was about to key in, they lower the body, and I'm just like, okay, people, All right, well, it's been nice knowing you. Hopefully I'll see you in about 7 or 8 seconds. I'll let you know. But right after that first run, the butterflies went away, and I was like, I just want to do it again. Let's do it again. So after that, I never got tired of it. Sure, it's like practically getting buried alive in a rocket ship, but it's I have fun with it. It's a neat experience. I wish more people could experience that feeling of driving a funny car or fuel altered. That's pretty much a handful, because I know of a lot of people that drive dragsters and door slammers, and I tell them all, you have no idea what you guys are missing. You guys have it so easy. Wait till you try what I do.
So now, when you're getting ready for a weekend of drag racing with this car, what goes into preparation for you?
Some of the preparation before a race. Pretty much I go into the ignition system, the power grid setup, plug in my laptop into the car and just kind of take a baseline tune-up, kind of go over what we had the previous weekend, or where we're more or less at this stage, what we had at the end of the season. So I just kind of go over it, make sure the information is still there and the data is set up right. Clear out the downloadable tachometers and stuff, make sure our onboard computers are cleared out and ready to go and charged up, charging the car, charging the batteries for the radio and headset, make sure the chutes are packed, tire pressure's set, and pretty much it's very minimal preparation before a race, believe it or not. I mean, we're not like some of the bigger teams that like have to like tear apart the motor between races and stuff. I mean, sure, we'll go over some things, like we'll check the spark plugs, we'll check gasket seals and stuff, and fuel up, make sure everything's all good, check oil and stuff. But we're very, very minimal, really. I mean, it's a car that pretty much kind of runs itself. So pretty much the safest, very minimal maintenance setup that we got imaginable out there. So well, if any case of a circumstance where things are going to get a little crazy with if we're really going to go after a performance number for the weekend itself, yeah, we'll really go over some things, and we'll do a warm-up before we pack up and stuff, and load it up in the box and pull out the next morning. But that's pretty much the general gist of what we go through before a race weekend.
Now, do you run both quarter and eighth mile?
Yeah, we usually run both. Usually whenever we run Jagger Names is an earth-shaking entertainment event shows. Sometimes they're 8th mile shows, and for me that's like junior dragster racing all over again. And I have fun with it still. But I do a lot more of quarter-mile races than I do 8th mile races now, but I have fun regardless.
So have you done a quarter-mile burnout yet?
I've done burnouts long enough that I've actually stopped at the quarter-mile cone, if that counts. But I think I've only ever done that twice, and I did that both up at Lebanon Valley Dragway in New York. And every time we tow the car back, because the return road goes in front of the stands, the people are just going nuts. And I know that last year they wouldn't stop coming over to our trailer, asking for hero cards, asking for autographs. They're like, "You have like the best burnouts ever, man. Where'd you come from?" So I guess I'm an unofficial king of the burnouts out here on the East Coast, but I know there's other people that hold that title that I'm like, well, I'm not officially the holder of that title until we actually have a legitimate burnout contest and I actually get in on it. So hoping to change that this year.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of drivers say like they do a big quarter-mile burnout and the fans all stand on their feet, big standing ovation cheering.
Yeah. Like, I get a kick out of every time I see, like, a fan post video from YouTube of, like, me running, and it's just, like, it's nice to see a fan's perspective of my run and stuff and see what they see, and it's kind of neat, because for me, it's kind of like my whole racing career kind of coming full circle a bit, because, you know, you start as a kid being a fan in the stands, watching this kind of stuff and say, one of these days I'm going to do that kind of thing, and here it is, like, flip-flop. You're watching it from, you're in the seat of the car doing all that stuff, and then a couple days later you see pictures and people sending in messages saying, "Hey, I took this video of your car. Hope you don't mind. I post this. It looks really cool." And I get back to them like within minutes and say, "This is the neatest thing I've ever seen. Thank you very much. It's very flattering to get some stuff from fans like that." So
Hey, you're friends with Rocky Prone. There you go. That's a big Burnout guy right there.
Oh, man.
Rocky's great with the big burnouts and the dry hops.
Yeah. That's the one thing I have yet to really work on is my dry hops. I haven't really bothered to try it yet, but I may have to experiment with it a little bit. Maybe Chris Mazzarella will have to give me a dry hop lesson, or Mike Hall, or somebody.
There you go. So now, for you, where do you buy your fire suit from?
My fire suit, pretty much so my fire suit is from Stroud Safety. Pretty much Stroud one-piece suit, boots, gloves, armor strength is from Stroud. The helmet is a Simpson helmet. My headsock is Simpson. Hans device is standard. But I'm slowly starting to dive into having everything get changed over into DJ safety stuff. DJ supplies the parachutes, the seat belts, and the blower straps on the car. Big Ben's a super help with me on that stuff. He's a super nice guy, really cool dude from LA. He actually hooked me up with some brand new hot pink parachutes for the car this year. And for those that don't know me well enough, my biggest thing that I have to have on my car is I have to have hot pink parachutes. and there's a legitimate, serious reason for that. When my dad was starting to drive the car, we knew we were probably going to start racing the car at night. So he kind of was thinking ahead of himself a little bit and said, you know what, if we're going to drive this thing at night, he hates the idea of dark colored parachutes, whether they're black, blue, or red, or what have you. He just says, pink, that'll stick out like a sore thumb at night. So if we don't see pink shoots at night, we know something's wrong. So it's kind of our little signal that everything's all good at the end of a run. So if we see pink shoots, it's all good.
So now I don't think I asked you yet. What kind of engine you got under the hood of that car?
Okay, so the engine in the car, it's a 540 cubic inch big box Chevrolet motor from Dart. We have Burdick cylinder heads on it. Like I said before, the 871 supercharger. We're running an old school 4-hole Hillborn injection setup on it. Pretty much it looks like an old school fuel altered motor is what it looks like. Running it straight on alcohol. We also run a Denim Bear 2-speed automatic transmission. Power glide, so I launch the car like a bracket car with thumb on the trans brake, foot to the floor, and as soon as the tree flashes, thumbs off the button, and I'm off like a rocket. So pretty much it's a bracket race setup on steroids that's set up for match racing, essentially.
Right. So now, what are some of your favorite tracks to run on?
So favorite tracks, you said? Favorite tracks?
Yep.
Okay, so Maple Grove Raceway has been my home track, practically my second home, literally. Grew up there. I practically know every bump and crack in that place. It's the one track I feel the most comfortable at when I go test or be a part of a show or something like that. The staff, the faculty, they treat me like family there. I give them all the utmost respect and love in the world. Other tracks I love to race at, Atco Dragway in New Jersey is a lot of fun. Lebanon Valley in New York, I have a lot of fun up there. They treat me with just as much love and respect as I do with them. They do an awesome job every time. Cecil County, Maryland, we started going back there last year, and I hadn't been there since my junior dragster days, and I used to clean house there pretty good. Where else do I go to? Darn. Island is usually a handful of a drag strip. Island's usually a lot of fun. But basically between Maple Grove, Atco, and Lebanon Valley, those are my 3 favorite tracks I love to go to. So.
Okay. Now, throughout your drag racing career, have you had any accidents or near accidents?
Luckily, no accidents. A few near accidents, though. Let's see. One of the first years I started driving the car, right as I was making the transition from running the car on half throttle just to get familiar with it, we started opening it up to give myself full throttle. And I almost practically rolled the car over during a burnout because the throttle wasn't coming back to me as quick as I had thought. So when it finally did, the car was kind of pointed in the wrong direction. So then I quick yanked the wheel, pulled on the brake, felt it lean over like at a 45-degree angle, and I rung my bell pretty good. So all I remember is like the thing's practically about to roll. So I was like, starting to have second thoughts on this whole funny car thing. It's like you start asking yourself, hey, you wanted to do this. You know? Start having arguments with yourself over this whole thing. But that's one that really kind of caught my attention. The other close call was probably a few years ago. Maple Grove, same track, same event, I think, or about a year later. We were kind of having some trouble with the performance on the car, and we were waiting for the pair cars before us to go, and my motor kind of overheated, I guess. We run a radiator in the car, still like as if we're going to hot lap it, and it had boiled over after my burnout, and it left a nice puddle of water around the 1,000-foot mark where I stopped for my burnout. And did not know it, but by the time I got there with my car making the run, I launched the car, felt pretty good. Then I ran over the puddle bit, not realizing it, and the thing just tried to make a hard right turn into the wall. And it was foot off the throttle, hit the chutes, pull on the brake, and just catch your breath, hope the thing straightens out. And sure enough, it straightened up just in time, and it's actually kind of funny because that runs actually on YouTube. I actually had my GoPro camera in the car when that happened, and when it went over, it actually shook the camera loose, and the camera did a full front flip and landed on the tachometer, looking right back at me. You see me looking confused and scared out of my mind. All at the same time, just going, "Wow, that was not fun. Let's not do that again."
No, you don't want to do that again.
Yeah, ever. But so far, nothing like that since. Everything's been smooth and no rough or wild rides since then. But as soon as I feel something go break loose on the car, or like if the car tries to spin the tires, I just let off and just let it coast. There's no point trying to be a hero. You know, you got to be smart and be safe about these things.
Right. So you ready for some fun questions now?
Sure, let's do the fun ones.
What year did the Road Zombies start playing? Or when were they formed?
Okay, so the Road Zombies, I formed that band around late 2014. I had just recorded my first solo record with that lineup. With that lineup of the band, and I had been playing in a couple other bands before that, but the Road Zombies didn't exactly start playing out until the following year, just to kind of support CD sales that I was having at the time. So since 2015, the Road Zombies has been in existence, and we've had so we had like a variety of member changes and stuff with the band still. Miles Hartle, my lead guitarist, he's one of the only original members of the band right now. And we have a drummer, Mel Rake. He drums for another band. He drums for two bands I play for, actually. The Chelsea Lynn Meyer Band, which is like a pop rock kind of band, and he drums for a band called Stillcraft, which is a grunge and hard rock band that I've been doing some vocal work for. And other members like bass players and other drummers that we have, they're kind of members on call that if somebody can't make it, I always have a backup member that knows my material. And all full-time musicians that I keep on my phone, that like as soon as somebody can't make it, it's just quick shoot them a message and be like, hey, do you want to play a show tonight or next week or something? This guy can't make it, and they usually learn the material and they know it off the top of their head, and they kill it every time.
So now, Road Zombies, do you guys play covers or original?
A little bit of both. We've been starting to get back into doing some original material that I have since I dropped a single back in October and just put it out on iTunes and stuff recently. So we're starting to get back into the swing of performing some of my own material. Plus, I'm actually getting back to recording some original material I've been sitting on for like the last year and a half now. But most of the time on the show, it's mostly covers just because we want to keep the audience happy, and the audience is more familiar with that stuff than the original material. And we like to get them moving. We like to get them dancing. We like to get them to have a good time and party it with us. So usually they start boogieing, they start dancing around every time we start doing like AC/DC or like Tom Petty or Guns N' Roses or something like that, or even some punkier tunes like Green Day and Blink-182 covers and stuff, or the Ramones for that matter, and it goes over well every time.
So what age did you start playing guitar?
I started playing, I want to say 2000, probably when I was 15. I think was when I started playing guitar. So I had interest in playing guitar before, but it took a little bit of nagging because it was like the one Christmas gift I always wanted as a kid. Like, I want to learn to play guitar. I want to play guitar. And it never happened. They're like, all right, fine, we're going to get you one for Christmas. And see, we know this is going to go over like a lead balloon. And sure enough, that plan failed. So made a definite point to learn as much stuff on my own playing guitar. I mean, I only took about a year of lessons, like when I was around like 17 or 18, but everything else guitar playing wise, I'm completely trained by ear. So I just kind of taught myself, basically.
So what was the first guitar you owned?
Yeah, you kind of...
What kind of make and model was the first guitar you owned?
So I own about like 13 different guitars. So I have a lot of favorites.
No,
right now,
the first guitar that your parents bought you, what kind was it? I was asking you.
So like my first guitar was a candy red Squier Stratocaster. I still have it. It's actually in my home office right now. But from there, it kind of evolved to buying some pre-owned Gibson Les Pauls, like Les Paul Juniors, some modified gold top Les Paul, and I have a custom painted ES335 knockoff from the UK that I picked up in the area, and a Gibson Flying V. I mean, that one's pretty much my baby, that guitar. That thing very rarely comes out anymore. It's actually due to get looked at and do some servicing on it,
So to this day, how many guitars you own?
13. 13 of them. Between, I think, 10 electric guitars I own. One of them I'm trying to sell because it's a girl guitar I bought off of a friend of mine just because they needed help. 2 acoustics and a cigar box guitar that my uncle built for me. So I do some slide work on that.
So now which guitar do you use mainly on stage?
As of lately, I want to say the Les Paul Junior that I have. Actually, the 2 Les Paul Juniors I have. One of them is the Billy Joe Armstrong signature guitar, the guy from Green Day. That was my dream guitar as a kid, and I bought that around the time I got involved with my first band. So that guitar pretty much is my ride or die guitar. And the newest guitar that I have, the other Junior, it's a Les Paul Special Double Cut from 2003. They bought it, looked all beat up and punked out and stuff. It was bone stock. It looked like it had been broken before, so I just started beating the crap out of it a little bit more. So that thing's my punk rock machine now. So I've been playing that guitar a lot lately at shows. I played with it this past Saturday night, and I'll probably play it again this weekend with my 2 shows I got coming up this weekend.
Now, the Road Zombies, do you have any recordings currently?
Probably. I got like an album and a half of material of my own I'm sitting on. It's more than likely going to be stuff that will be played with the Road Zombies. So I probably won't hit the studio until next month. So.
So have you ever put on anything with Road Zombies yet?
So again, what was that?
I said, have you ever put on any recordings yet with the Road Zombies?
Not exactly. We have been talking about doing like an EP or a demo or some kind, or even just putting up some live stream footage of some shows and stuff as we go and releasing it, whenever we get a chance to do like a full show of original material, we'll try and videotape it or put some audio files up for people to listen to and check out for free,
So who are your biggest guitar influences?
Guitar influences. Well, like I said before, Billy Joe Armstrong was definitely my biggest one. I've Angus Young from AC/DC. Though I love that band completely as a whole. Mike Ness from Social Distortion, a great Southern California punk band. That's like one of my all-time favorite bands now. Oh, jeez. There's so many other bands. It's like the guitar influences never end. I mean, I whenever I get a chance to watch like stuff from like Slash or Joe Satriani, Eric Clapton, some Stevie Ray Vaughan, some Hendrix, Joe Bonamassa, some B.B. King. I'm pretty much any guitar player that I see on like TV or on YouTube or whatever is on my iPod. I mean, I listen to their stuff very closely and try to pick up on their technique a little bit.
So now, for drag racing, who are your biggest influences?
Let's see. That's a tough one. That one I never really quite think about, honestly. But I would say growing up, I was a big John Force fan. Growing up, I was very much loved John Force throughout the 90s and early 2000s. I thought think he's still a good driver today. But I think I followed more Top Fuel racers then than I do now. But was a big Joe Amato fan, Kenny Bernstein fan. Scott Coletta and Corey McLenithan were like my favorite drivers to watch on TV all the time as a kid. And so pretty much it's kind of stayed that way since. I mean, most of those guys are long out of it or team owners or doing something else,
Right. So now do you have any hobbies besides drag racing and music?
Hobbies outside of all that. Other than artwork, I mean, I kind of got back into drawing and sketching things again. I used to do that quite religiously as like a little fun hobby on the side. I just started getting back into it again. Usually I enjoy going to the gym. I take like hitting the treadmill, going for a good mile-long run or 2 miles of running for like 20 minutes or something, lifting weights and stuff. But I used to go. I hope to get back into fishing again. I used to go fishing quite a bit. But outside of all that, poker, blackjack games and stuff like that, I'm pretty big into casino-style card games and stuff. Not really big of a gambler, but that's pretty much about it. Other than that, just hanging out with friends that are also musicians and just having like house jams and parties and stuff and just playing music together and just coming up with some neat, like 10-minute long jams, or if we all take turns playing instruments or something like that. If one of us is playing guitar, one of us plays keys or bass or drums, and we'll just swap instruments as we go. Like eventually, by the time I get to the drum kit, I know things are going to hit the fan. So,
right. So now, if people want to find the schedule for your band or your drag racing events, what's the best way for them to find everything?
Okay, so the best way to find everything, you can check out my Facebook sites. For the Road Zombies, it's facebook.com/MGRoadZombiesRocks. For the racing stuff, facebook.com/Geroni Racing. You can follow me on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/Mike Geroni. And you can follow me on YouTube and Instagram. My handle is nitropunk.m190. And that's where you can find all my music and follow along with my crazy daily adventures as I go between racing and music and everything else in between.
Okay, sounds good. Well, Mike, I want to thank you for your time. You have any final words for the fans that are listening to this right now?
Say again, what was that?
I said thank you for your time, and I want to thank you for your time. And do you have any final words for the fans that are listening to right now?
All right, awesome. Thank you guys very much. Thank you guys for listening, and have a good night, guys. Take care. Cheers.
All right, thanks, Mike. Stay on the line.